Hey guys, it's Casey. I do want to warn everybody ahead of time that this video may contain some triggers, so if you think it's going to trigger you, please don't watch. The video I'm posting tonight is actually going to be about PTSD awareness, and it's also going to be about two different types of PTSD. In today's society, there's a lot of people that only think that it's veterans that have PTSD. I've got PTSD, and mine's from domestic violence. My husband, he is actually a Army veteran, and his PTSD is from being in the military. So we're going to kind of discuss, how some of our similarities with our PTSD is alike and how some of it is different. We're going to discuss some of the stuff that triggers us, and then we're also going to discuss how it does affect our marriage. In my case, my PTSD is, like I said, from domestic violence. I was in an abusive relationship for 7.5 years. The ways that my PTSD gets affected is I can get triggered by loud noises. There's certain odors that I can smell that can trigger my PTSD. One of the number one things with my PTSD that I have is I have a lot of nightmares. And the way that my husband's actually helped me cope with that is usually if I have a nightmare, I'll wake up the next morning and tell him, hey, I had a nightmare. And we'll talk about it, and he'll just reassure me and stuff. And we feel like we really do need to discuss the PTSD because it's a very taboo subject and a lot of people don't want to talk about it. And then when you do try to talk about it, people don't want to believe you because once again, they think it's only a military thing. So this is my husband, and this is his discussion about his PTSD.
What's going on, guys? I'm Daryl. So, without getting into a bunch of details about my PTSD, mine is pretty much combat related. There's been a lot of things that I've dealt with for my ETS when I got out. Pretty much me leaving out of the Army and whatnot. So my whole thing is that when I got out, I was dealing with a lot of nightmares and pretty much like sleeping in a tub. The reason why is because I felt like a tub was like a little safe barrier or whatnot. And I guess this is kind of like a trench. I mean, if you haven't if you haven't like dug a trench, then you're probably not going to have any idea what I am talking about. There's definitely still a little bit that does take effect to this day, and a lot of it is in regards to people like walking up behind me or being out in a public place for a long period of time. Blood for sure, certain noises. What was a big one?
When we went to the Alamo and they did the gunshots.
I was just thinking that. When we went to the Alamo, I had gotten triggered by the gunshots that was for
Being fired.
Not, I want to say not so much being fired, but for the ceremony there. But well, I guess a demonstration, like the demonstration or a ceremony. And so my thing is that I am perfectly fine shooting weapons, but there are certain sounds that that kind of like push out my triggers and whatnot. And so how my wife helps me deal with a lot of these is she'll come up and she'll give me a hug. She will reassure me, and of course, we talk about it. It's just that a lot of mine I kind of hold in because I don't want people. Well, not people. I don't want my wife necessarily to be burdening me to feel like, well, let me reword that, to feel like she's a burden, that she has to like bathe me and stuff. And so a lot of it is just, like I said, it's combat related. There's really not much that she can do, but there is other people who've seen the same stuff that I have because they were there, or they know what I'm talking about because they're actually like combat vets as well. So I do talk to them, but on that note, it's not something that that I should necessarily keep from my wife. It's kind of hard for her to understand because she hasn't had that type of experience.
And not to mention, I don't want to ask because I don't know what can cause a trigger.
Yeah. So I'm pretty when it comes to her, who I know, I'm pretty open with what my experiences are, and pretty much how I want to talk about, or why I talk about. I haven't really talked about it up until, well, not in detail, but up until this point, and brought up in, I want to say probably like 4 or 5 months. And the reason being is because I kind of keep it in a little closet. So unless somebody specifically asks me, then it doesn't bother me. There are occasionally things that that do pop up when I go to stores. Like I don't want to sound like racist or anything, or like or stereotypical, but it's usually when I see like Muslims, like in terms or whatnot, I get a little bit defensive, and so I don't want to put that out as me being like racist, which I'm not. That's just something that's been hard for me to deal with, for the situations that I had to deal with, and I apologize for that ahead of time, and I'm not trying to make that sound like bad or anything, but for me to actually come out and talk like that, it is definitely like a big step in my part, because I know that my wife wanted me to actually talk about this for a while, and it definitely helps out a lot in our relationship. Now, as far as the PTSD affecting like our relationship, like honestly, it really doesn't put any dents unless we're at the store. So it's like if we're at Walmart for a while and there's just a lot of people like gathering up in my space, and again, like being a combat arms vet, you kind of like your personal space. You're like they're all in personal space, they're all in my personal space. Yes, you're.
And like another one for me, like with my PTSD, and that's kind of where ours is opposite, is his is being around a bunch of people, and mine is usually if we're in the store and like I can tell he's getting uneasy, and usually I'm like, hey, you can go ahead and go to the car if you want to get uneasy and stuff, and then he doesn't want to do that, and then I worry about what's going to cause him to get upset. But in my case, what can cause me to get upset with me if I'm in the store is like if I'm in the store by myself, is like I'll get really upset because I'm like, I don't know, should I get this? Is this the right stuff to get? And I get really indecisive. And then there's times I've actually cried in the store before I moved down here. I actually was in the store with somebody and they were like, hey, we're going to go to the vehicle. And so they went to the vehicle. And as I'm checking out, I literally just started bawling the entire time. And it was just because I had felt abandoned and all this stuff, and it was overwhelming. So that is in a way that our PTSD is opposite. His is a bunch of people. Mine is usually like if I, am in the store by myself, I will get upset. And like he had pointed, like there's certain types of people that can trigger his. In my case, it's men. If I'm around a lot of men and stuff, I will get very uneasy and I will get very upset. If I've seen, couples that are arguing, or like I'll hear an individual say something to somebody when we're in the store, I usually can get triggered because like the tone in that voice or their body language and stuff like that, it will actually cause me to kind of have a flashback of what I've went through. Do you have anything else to say?
I had something, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. Actually, you know what? The thing that kind of sucks about that, of what she just said, is that I feel like if I go to the car, then I'm actually like abandoning her, and so that's pretty much the reason why I don't go to the car. So like ultimately, I get the short end of the stick, which is fine, but as long as I'm not like freaking out, like saying like oh, I'm gonna go around hurting people, then I guess it's fine. But the thing is, I get uncomfortable, and it's something that she has to know about. So I think personally, if there's anybody else in the situation I am, I think that you should tell your significant or your wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever, and just let them know and kind of break the situation down for them. But it's like if you don't feel like the couple doing that, go see a advocate. Go talk to her, talk to me. I'm all about sharing advice and stories. If people are like really like open minded to that. I don't make fun of anybody if as far as like PTSD goes, and kind of what you said. And this kind of like a little quick story thing. When I enlisted in '04, PTSD, I didn't have it then. I was still a brand new PSC in the Army and whatnot. But as I deployed and all that stuff, there was a lot of it that was basically like, deal with it, and don't freaking and don't worry about it. It was definitely like a hard time deploying when you have a lot of your friends who died, and of course, like a story that I have to share. I'm not gonna mention the name, but this person who passed away was a really good friend of mine. I met his wife and kids, and I promised, hey, I will bring this person home. But the thing that really short is in the sick of me is that that person ended up dying, and when I get back, it's like, how do you tell this person's wife and kids that he didn't make it home? And so that's something that sticks with me as far as like survivor's guilt and things like that. And that's something that I deal with every day. But it's not just that one person. There's a bunch of people. But in regards to into things like that, there's days. This is actually extending. There's days like Christmas, for example, or certain birthdays. Memorial Day, that I get really depressed, because those like days like that are really meant to think about my friends. But when it comes back to that, I get upset, and I tell the wife, and she tries to get my mind off it so we play a game, or we go for a walk, or things like that. We watch like Netflix. But the point that I'm trying to make at this is that for me personally, and it could be different for everybody else, is that my wife, if I kind of like categorize this, I talk to my wife, and then she redirects my PTSD into something positive. And like I said, playing games, going for a walk, watching like Netflix or anything, and instead of just like moping around the house. But that thing of like, fortunately for me, I don't smoke or drink, so I don't have to push myself into like a deeper, darker path. I don't gamble, but I'm pretty good at poker, but I don't gamble. But the thing is that with that, if it wasn't for her for doing that stuff, I would probably just be like moping around the house like a lot, especially when it comes, like I said, comes times for Christmas, Memorial Day, and things like that. But I love my wife for that, and I definitely have her to thank in regards to that. Anything you got to add?
Yeah. And another thing that like that can definitely, I think husband can agree, that actually affects our marriage is when I'm upset, I want to talk about it, versus there's times when he's upset, he kind of shuts down and he doesn't want to talk about it till he's comfortable to talk about it. Well, then that in return can cause me to get upset. I'm like, oh no, what did I do? Did I do something to make him mad? Did I do something to upset him? What am I going to do? And, I have to reassure him when I do say something, it's not you directly, it's just what I have been through. Like we were actually somewhere a while ago, and we were walking through, and I could smell like male pheromones, and I ended up getting to where like my heart started racing, and I started getting really antsy and stuff. And he was like, hey, what's going on? And I was like, I'm smelling male pheromones, and it's upsetting me. It's certain odors like that can trigger my PTSD, and there's a lot of other things. One thing that really helps us, and I really recommend it if you can, is animals. My husband actually has a service dog that's a chow that is wonderful for him. I've got a dog. He's not a service dog. We're going to try and certify him. He's absolutely wonderful. If I'm getting upset and stuff, usually he'll kind of grab my hand and kind of pull me away, to kind of reassure me. Or he'll come and he'll lay on me and just, lay there, and he won't move. And he's a Australian Shepherd mix, and we think he's a chow mix too, so he's pretty big. And then the other thing is we have a cat. We actually have a female cat named Boots, and she's very demanding when we're upset. She will sit in our lap, and she will rub her head on us, and we're going to pet her until we're calmed down, even if she has to stay there for like 2 hours straight. But But like with PTSD, like I said, it is a very taboo subject. And I myself have actually had individuals tell me, oh, well, you can't have PTSD. You weren't in the military. And I have to explain to them, no, it's not just military. You know, it's going through a traumatic event. Or there's even what's called complex PTSD. And it's undiagnosed for the most part. And basically what that is going through several traumatic events through your life. So whether it was child abuse, sexual abuse, domestic violence, stuff like that, that all boils up into what's called complex PTSD. And like I said, a lot of people don't diagnose that. I actually had somebody the other day that I was talking to, and they were like, thank you for posting the video you had posted about your suicide, you know, about PTSD, because that informed me. I didn't know that people that weren't in the military could have PTSD. Like, I thought that was just a military thing. So, you know, if you've got PTSD, the best thing I can tell you is try to talk to someone, try to talk to your significant other, try to find a friend to talk to and stuff, because that really helps the situation versus, you know, you're not stuck alone having to deal with the emotions and stuff. And like I said, you know, anytime something like that comes up, you know, whether it's you're upset, you feel like you're getting triggered, you feel like you're going to hurt yourself, please message me. If I don't respond, my husband will respond, and we will try and get back to you as soon as we can. We're going to go ahead and cut this video short for now, but please like the page, share the videos, comment, and most of all, stay strong and keep fighting.